Call this meeting to order of the Columbia County Board of Commissioners for this Tuesday, November the 17th, 2015. This time, we'd like to ask Commissioner Duncan if he will offer up our invocation.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you for the blessings you bestow upon Columbia County. Pray that you'd be with us tonight. Give wisdom, open, good, frank discussion, and I pray that you would guide the hand of all decisions being made. I ask these things in Christ's name.
Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Yeah, I don't have, yeah.
We do barely have a quorum.
The right-wing conspiracy.
Yes, it is. Unless you're sitting out there and there's a left-wing conspiracy.
Ooh, that would be bad.
But we do have 3 members present. First order of business is to approve the minutes of our previous meeting of November the 3rd. If you're satisfied with their content, we'll accept a motion for their approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Mr. Johnson, we've had a couple of adjustments to the agenda. Would you like to summarize those?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for your consideration, we have 2 items that we'd like to add tonight. The first, I2E1A, would be ordinance amending Chapter 14, animals, regarding livestock animals. This will be a first reading of that ordinance. Relates to the Evans Town Center Overlay District. The second item will be I2E2A, is a request from the County Administrator's Office replacing our vision, mission, values, and pledge with core values that we'd like to take up.
Okay. And 2, for information, we've had a request to withdraw item I2C4, and we will take that up at that time during the meeting as it's on the agenda. Again, I want to welcome each of you to this meeting of the Commission. Remind you that these proceedings are videotaped. If you'd like a copy of the tape, you may have one by requesting one through our county clerk, Ms. Crawley. Also, they're on the county website. And traditionally, as you know, they've been on a television station, WBEK, through their courtesy on Comcast and WOW. I would like at this time to say a word of appreciation to Jeremy Copeland of WBEK, who came to us several years ago and said they would like to offer these proceedings on their Saturday morning public service slot. And since that station has been purchased by Channel 12, that no longer is happening, and they have not yet told us what they would like to do with the commission meeting, if anything. But Jeremy was very, very supportive, and we appreciate what he did for us all those years to come and set up and do the filming and then put it on the television station. Remind you, too, that you're allowed to speak to this body. If you're not already on the agenda, we ask that you fill out a speaker form at the rear of the room, bring it up to our county clerk, who will recognize you at the proper time during the meeting. We'd like to welcome Gary Richardson here, Gary, candidate for the District 3 seat. Mr. Russell Wilder is here once again, that was a former candidate and maybe a future candidate, I don't know. Do we have anyone else here that's involved in the races coming up December the 1st? Well, in other words, please vote. I encourage you to vote on those 2 races if you are in the proper precincts. We go now to our special recognition, Employee of the Month. Commissioner Allen is going to make that presentation to Stacy Ursery of Parks and Recreation.
Hello. Congratulations. This is Columbia County Employee of the Month presented to Ms. Stacy Ushery, Parks and Recreation, for November 2015. I will let her manager say a few words, but I had to bring some notes here because there's quite a lot to say about Ms. Ushery. She was responsible for helping organize one of the largest youth athletic programs in Columbia County history. This past fall, she had 4-5 co-ed soccer, which had 29 teams, 232 participants, Girls U10 soccer with 7 teams and 63 participants. Girls U12 soccer of 8 teams, 72 participants. Boys 7 and 8 baseball with 6 teams, 78 participants. Girls 7 and 8 and 9-11 softball of 9 teams, 108 participants. Overall, she was responsible for 6 different leagues involving 59 youth teams and over 550 participants. He successfully recruited and trained over 40 volunteer coaches, as well as recruiting, training, and assigning game officials for 3 different sports. And in spite of her heavy workload, she has always displayed a willingness to help her coworkers. She assists with the indoctrination and training of rookie athletic programmers. Her unselfish attitude and positive, encouraging style reflect well upon the Recreation Department. She is one of Columbia County's greatest assets, and I concur with that wholeheartedly. Congratulations again, Ms. Usher.
You know, obviously, dealing with that many leagues, it takes a lot of different skills to be an athletic programmer. You got to be organized. You got to be a good communicator. You got to know about sports and schedules and things like that. But number one skill I think I look for and that Stacy has is her ability to deal with people, build relationships with her volunteer coaches, members of the public, even players. Nobody does that better than Stacy, and I think that everybody who she deals with absolutely loves her. She could not be a better representative of our department. So we're proud to have her. Congratulations.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Trey. We now have a presentation by Commissioner Duncan honoring Small Business Week. And I imagine that's what the chamber people are here for tonight. So would you come on forward?
Keith? Columbia County, we want to strive to be business, everything we can to help drive business. Frankly, the small business is the backbone of our community. Jobs that it creates, life better for everyone. The Commission's gotten together and we'd like to make a proclamation. Small Business Saturday. Whereas Columbia County, Georgia celebrates our local small business contributions they make to our local community and the local economy, and whereas the local retail sales exceed $1.6 billion annually, and whereas 90% of the establishments in Columbia County employ less than 50 employees, and whereas Columbia County is home to more than 4,700 registered businesses, many of which employ less than 5 people, and whereas the small businesses employ over 55% of the working population in the United States, and whereas the Columbia County Chamber of Commerce and the Columbia County Commissioners support local business, create jobs, boost our local economy, serve our neighborhoods. Now, therefore, be it so proclaimed, Columbia County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim November 28, 2015 as Small Business Saturday, Columbia County, Georgia, to encourage all citizens to support small business merchants during Small Business Saturday throughout the year. Sign and seal this day.
On behalf of the Chamber, I would like to say thank you, Doug, and across to the County Commissioners. The Columbia County Chamber strongly supports small business and appreciate your support in recognizing small business on November 28th. Thank you.
Appreciate your job y'all do. We're going to bring up the Dowling Drive issue a little bit later. We'll hold off on those speakers, but I think we'll settle that without anyone having to make a presentation. But if anyone would still like to speak at that time, we'll recognize you then. Then we go to our consent agenda. These are items that's been through the necessary committee and received the 3 votes to be put on consent. If you're satisfied with this list of projects, we'll approve all of those as one vote.
So moved.
Second.
Any items needing any clarification? All in favor, please raise your hand. Move now to our debate agenda. Mr. Duncan?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Resolution 15-1183, determination to abandon a portion of the right-of-way of Lake Jean Drive.
Second.
Motion and a second. We've had two people request to speak on this issue. We recognize Mr. Trevor Kitchens.
So, to recommend abandoning the right-of-way, so who owns it?
It's a recommendation to abandon the rights to maintain the road.
Because of,
And that, to answer the question, I've researched this, and the county was never deeded the property without spending thousands of legal fees to get to 100% certainty. We are at 99% certainty that it is owned by the estate of W.R. Tiller.
okay, well, there is no deed, I do agree with you. But there's not a deed on Lawrence or Rachel Drive either. So, I live on Lawrence Drive. So if we have a road failure there, are we gonna abandon it?
There actually, I believe, is a deed on one of those drives, but I have to look at that.
We spent 4 days in there ourselves with the title search guy, so it's, I'm concerned about our neighborhood. If there's no deeds to any of the roads, this is an easy way to say, let's abandon the road. If we fix the dam, will you fix the road? I'm just curious. Is that an option?
I think if the dam is in satisfactory condition to support the road, we would correct the pavement, would not we, Mr. Slockner?
If that's the will of the commission, we just can't repair the road because the water won't stop flowing across it. If we can fix that, we can repair the road.
So, do we need to abandon it now, or do we just need to fix the dam and then say, all right, now we need y'all to fix the road? If you abandon it, then we have to come back and say, can you take it back over? I think we're moving a little fast here to abandon something when the road's been open for 60 years.
Well, the road hadn't been opened recently, has it?
Well, I mean, it's been closed last year in 3 months, but, this is I know the Barrington subdivision deal was not the same thing. I understand that people were trapped in their neighborhood for 4 days, whatever. Who ended up paying that? There was two options. One was the county paid for it. One was 87 homeowners paid for it over a 20-year stretch. So much dollars, I don't know. Who paid for that?
There never was an option. The county chose to repair it because it involved a safety issue with the residents of that portion of the,
And it was,
That road bed was actually dedicated to the county
We own that road, don't- the county does, I mean, right?
That bridge.
road or the dam?
road. They also own,
But the pipe goes under it was the dam of Barrington. I think it was poorly built. We should have sued somebody. I can't believe our lake's been there 61 years. And we have a runaround problem, but if we get it fixed, I don't want the road closed. I understand why we can't say, well, let's get the road fixed and then y'all come back to us. Instead of we're just abandoning it. Is that because we don't want to spend the money to fix it? I mean, so the homeowners will fix it and then you'll open the road back up, you'll fix it?
we have not had any indication that the homeowners were willing to repair the dam and get the outfall where it would keep the level of the lake at the proper level. We cannot fix the road as long as the water flows over the top of it.
Well, on the runaround, but if we get it fixed, will you open the road?
I don't have any objection to it being in the proper condition
Yeah.
and us maintaining the road as we have in the past.
That being said, we also, depending on how long the process would take, we
Yeah.
cannot bind a future commission to any promise that might be made
We're talking
here.
about in the next 30, 60 days, having it fixed. I mean,
Can you fix a dam that fast?
yeah, all it is a siphoning system. We've got to drop the lake down. It's too high. There's no doubt. But, I believe we can do that, but I don't want to see the road abandoned. It increases traffic on Lawrence Drive. Might need speed bumps, as other residents say, on the dam or whatever, but that's another item. But closing the road, I just don't see where, y'all have taken care of it for 41 years. I understand there's no deed. And how do we get our roads deeded? Because if something happens to my road, I want y'all to fix it. You've paved it 3 times in 41 years. I don't want, well, we're gonna abandon, Lawrence Drive. We don't have to fix it. How do we get it done? How do we fix the problem?
This is a different circumstance, Mr. Kitchens. A normal road that belongs to the county or the county has maintained will continue to be maintained. If we don't have a deed to the road and the subsurface of the road is washing out, then we can no longer continue to maintain the pavement.
Lawrence Drive at the bottom by the pond, the water is, the storm water from Home Depot and all them are coming through there. If it washes out there, are you gonna fix my road too? That's all I'm asking.
If it's a part of the county road system, we'll fix it.
That's my, so can we table this and let us fix the road and then y'all, I don't want you to abandon the road.
I think we need to hear from the folks who actually pushed this in the beginning, which
Well,
they
there's
wanted
two
it
of 'em here.
abandoned, so.
Well, there's 2 of them here and they
Right.
thought y'all were gonna put a cul-de-sac there, and then the last meeting, it was said y'all were not gonna pay for a cul-de-sac. So, I don't know that they're so in favor of that, because y'all were talking about taking land to make a cul-de-sac.
Maybe Matt, can you
Yeah.
clarify that point, because Matt wasn't here?
When we met on site, we talked about if this road was to be abandoned, we would need to do something, a cul-de-sac, a hammerhead, a T, something at the end of the road, I guess on the western side of the dam, to allow the garbage trucks, school buses, any of the mail trucks, anybody that goes down that road and gets the dead end, they need the ability to turn around without using private driveways. That was discussed, us putting that in.
It was discussed with the county putting it in.
Yes.
Okay, so we
But
just clarified that point then.
Yeah, at the last meeting,
Right.
said that y'all didn't, y'all were not gonna
Yeah,
pay for it.
I was not aware of it. I said that I was not aware of it, that there may be a.
Yeah, I just don't think some of the homeowners want their land taken to make a cul-de-sac. I mean, it takes a good bit of land to make a cul-de-sac, so, I mean, but, I mean, that's their land. I can't speak for them, but I'd like to find out more than just saying, all right, well, we're abandoning it. Man, I'm working. I'm doing all I can. There's a bunch of the residents around the pond that don't want the road closed either. There is a couple, but I think there's more want it open, closed. Is there any way we can
There's
find
a,
that?
the landowners where the cul-de-sac would go were in favor and would donate. Is that your understanding?
I don't want to donate. Pretty the properties. Right. Up the road. Go further up the road on the Al's property.
Hear from the other.
Could we hear from the other speakers, and then we'll discuss it more? Delia Harrell, please, you come forward.
I was just recently brought up to speak on some of this. So I'm just curious that at one time, Lake Jean Drive did have PR on the sign. It said it was a county road, and now it's not a county road. Is that just a recent discovery?
So it was put on the county road system after they paved it, but again, it was never dedicated by a plat or a deed. What the county had is it paved the road and ended up having prescriptive rights, which is part of the county road system. So
Now that it's not desirable, it's not a county.
it would, depends on what happens. with
It's
those.
still a county road, but it's a county road that cannot be maintained because we don't own the property that it's on.
Essentially what you have is a county road that, as far back as our records show, has had flooding going over the top of it. Dam that was not built to hold the water that was supposed to
And do
hold.
we know who built the dam?
It was all originally owned by W.R. Tiller.
Okay. So then the same standards apply to Lawrence and Rachel. They're county roads, even though you may or may not have a deed to them, but because you've paved it, have,
Right, but they're not sitting on a dam that's eroding, so if we repaved it without the dam being fixed, it's just gonna implode.
but I'm just curious, you said you think you do have a deed for Lawrence.
For one of the streets, I do, but again, I wasn't focused on that because I didn't know it was going to be an issue.
I mean, as a citizen, I'm just concerned that I know when things get expensive, I mean, if the county has the authority to toss something up like a hot potato because, hey, this might cost money, so we don't want it anymore, I think everybody should be concerned if you have the authority to do that, and apparently you do, right?
Would you rather us not repave the other roads if we don't have the deed?
No,
Well,
no, I mean, my thinking is, at some point you assumed some proprietorship. I mean, you've been paving it. So, but to abandon it when maybe it gets expensive, I'm just trying to wrap my head around.
only a portion that's the dam portion. And the reason is that the outfall in a dam is not there functioning and causing the overflow that erodes the pavement. We can't continue to pave it and have it washed away.
Yeah,
And the outfall and the dam does not belong to the county.
But I think the difference is those other streets don't have a private structure which is destroying the integrity of it.
No, but if the road is closed, if Lake Jean is closed, and some traffic's going to be diverted over Lawrence, and there are some homes there with kids, been a relatively slow street. So, I mean, it is of concern if there's going to be more traffic.
Be the same as on the other side of the lake.
Well, the road has been closed for a year or more, hasn't it?
It has been for about 15 months, I believe, roughly. I guess maybe we can explain prescriptive rights. Prescriptive rights means
Right.
we can maintain edge of asphalt to edge of asphalt strictly for what we've been maintaining for, which in this case is a road. The outfall structure for the dam outfall structure for the pond is in the pond, not in our asphalt. So the difference between Lawrence and Rachel and Lake Jean is Lawrence and Rachel, curb to curb, that's what we can maintain. We can use that. If there's pipe under it, we can fix that because that's what we're using it for. When it comes to Lake Jean, outfall structure is not where we've been using. The dam is way out past where the edge of asphalt is. So that's why we can't maintain the dam, because we don't have rights to it. That's the difference. So Lawrence Drive, Rachel Drive, pipe were to collapse, that's in our right, it's in our area of prescriptive rights. We can fix
Okay, and
the road open. Does that make more sense?
it does. One last question. If you, under those circumstances, county still own, like, a right-of-way on property if we don't own the road?
So, going to what he's saying, we own just the roadbed. If we don't have a deed.
Own the asphalt or
We
whatever?
own, if we don't have a deed or a dedication by plat, then you own literally what they have been maintaining, which is asphalt. Now, if they have been maintaining a ditch for stormwater, then they'd have rights for stormwater, but not for a road. They could widen the road out into the ditch. They have a right for whatever they've been doing. So
That's
if
it.
they're maintaining a road, just the area of the road.
So that's all that the county would have?
Rights to.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have to defer to Chris on that. He's the one that did the research. I know we looked at that plat together, but the one I saw didn't have signatures on it.
The dam, 75 foot on the dam, on Lawrence's. So, that would be,
Yeah, but this is just on one parcel I've seen of Goncourt.
yeah, it's saying that Lake Jean Drive is sitting on the dam. And it is wider, I know that. I mean, their reason.
Have to ask the engineer at the time. How old is that plat?
At the time,
Right.
a long time ago.
Mr.
Not the
Arthur Risch,
county engineer, the engineer who
Design engineer.
designed it, yeah.
I'm Arthur Risch. I live at T78 Lake Jean Drive. My question to y'all is that you guys keep talking about how the water is washing out the dam. And after leaving here the other week, I started thinking about the fact that the development that's across Hereford Farm Road, And if you look at where the water flows, there's no retention pond for that large development that goes up Hereford Farm Road and goes back over toward Bel Air. So the water that you guys keep talking about that's tearing up their dam is water runoff
How long is that? Been there?
that there's no retention
Now,
pond.
that's not the case. The water is running over the road because the normal outfall on the dam has been plugged up.
Yeah, but I can tell you this has been plugged up for a while, and I've lived there for a while. And I can tell you the reason why it's going over the road is because of the extra water that's coming in there from the construction that's been done in the area. I live there, I see it.
If the metered outfall was working there, it would keep that lake down to that level. without any
You've
problem.
got an engineer to do a study on that and tell you that?
One sitting right there will tell you.
Yeah, the outfall was lower than the emergency spillway, and that's when you design a pond. Your principal outfall is lower than your emergency outfall. Principal outfall was filled with concrete. The water had no choice but to rise.
I believe if you talk to the residents of that area, they'll tell you there were no problems at all prior to those other developments being built and the extra water coming into that pond. I mean, that pond serves as a retention pond basically for the county for the runoff. And you guys are not wanting to take care of the dam. I don't understand.
And
How old are those
There's another
developments?
pond across the road that gets the water.
I would say anybody with any capability of understanding simple logic and water running downhill, additional water is coming into that pond now as a result of those developments. And if you guys don't see that, then you haven't been out there and looked at the property.
Well, there's a pond on the other side of Hereford Farm Road also.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But have you been out there and watched where the water actually runs when it rains?
Nope.
Okay. I'd suggest
But
that.
I know if you fix that
I want to
outfall,
be sure about
won't
that.
have that problem, is all I'm saying.
Okay. All right.
Last point, we're gonna move on.
Can you put that up there? It's,
No,
If we don't
it's a
have it.
PowerPoint.
yeah, it's from Home Depot. This is stormwater from Washington Road where Five Guys, Home Depot, and it shows all the pipes coming down, and it's going into our pond. Our pond's good for y'all, or us, however we want to say that, but we're taking more water on. Now, that Home Depot was built 6-7 years ago. Somebody can't tell me that when it was grass, it's the same amount of water, but we're helping. We need to save the pond.
If I can point this out, from talking to you, I mean, you've lived there for 49 years. You said it's gone over the dam for as long as you've lived there, right?
Always went around and run around. We did have a pipe, but the pipe was,
So, gone over the dams for as long as you can remember. That was long before all this development. We've got records going back, as far as our computer systems go, that there's been flooding that's damaged the road. It goes back to 98 as far as what we have. So it's before, so this is something that had issues time it was built, is what it sounds like.
yeah, I think we need to get the outfall problem corrected, but I don't want y'all to abandon the road. Give us, the homeowners, there's 11 of us on the lake, give us a chance to put the siphoning system in, and can we cut your road to put it in? It's y'all's asphalt, can we cut that to put it in?
He's back there. Gentlemen, what is your
Well,
pleasure here? We have a couple of options.
well, what is the difference between abandoning it now and coming back and restarting the process later, if it's fixed, and, I mean,
I would submit to the commission that, the road's been closed for 15 months. And the county did not initiate this abandonment. We were approached by a group of homeowners that said it's been closed for 15 months. We understand you don't own it. And this was a small group, but we had a public hearing. They said, we don't understand you don't own it, and we would like to take it over to be able to fix it. But at that time, it seemed like the right thing to do from the county's perspective to go ahead and close the road. It had been closed for 15 months. It's been functioning well for 15 months. We hadn't had any complaints that we went back and checked. We've had no complaints on the road closure. And we're in a situation now where even if it's fixed, what is the long-term success rate of the dam? Is it a good idea to have a road there? I'm really not sure how much service it gets. Now, the residents may like that, but the residents will still be able to walk across it, I would assume, whether we had a road there or not. It's not gonna support vehicular traffic. So from the county's point of view, just to bring it all back around, this was initiated by a group of residents. It wasn't the county that initiated it, and it seemed like a good solution to a road that had been closed for 15 months. Instead of just leaving road closed signs out there, we should abandon it. We should put a cul-de-sac in place, which we had discussed doing, and we had already discussed it with the landowners that were going to be impacted by the cul-de-sac, and it just seemed like a better solution. It wasn't on your property, Mr. Rish.
Oh, we're talking about section 35 wide. Dam's 290 feet long.
Is there anybody here that was a part of the group that initially pushed for it?
That's still an advocate for it.
Is still an advocate for it? That's,
I'm Al Berry, B-A-R-R-I-E, 277 Lake Jean Drive. I live in the bump out that goes out into the pond. Yes, we kicked this off. I called Matt, and the issue is that it's a mess. We can't solve it simply, and we went round and round with who gets permits, who has to do what to where to put a siphon system in. A siphon system in to fix this thing is going to cost us a couple $1,000s. But the bottom line is, Lake Jean Drive that's shown there is just a very short piece of it. It's a real winding S-curved road. Just around the corner from there is Evans High School. And those kids come running out of that school at the close of business every day and roaring across that dam. We've had cars in the water. We've had people speeding, hitting trees. It's blind as you can't see 50 feet in front of you going around those curves. My view is it's just not safe to have through traffic running through that side of our side of Lake Jean Drive. It's much better off having it be a dead end and local traffic only. It simply makes more sense. The other issue is that we've got the issue of who holds responsibility and who should legitimately fix the dam. Well, we fixed it once, you know, when the overflow system collapsed, and at the county's recommendation, we plugged the hole and were told let it run over the overflow. We did. It is where it is now. I don't mind, you know, working with my neighbors to put a siphon system in to regulate the level of the water back down again. But quite frankly, I really don't want that road opened up again because it's just dangerous. Too many people drive too fast, especially when we're going to get this additional traffic coming when Hereford Farm, one of your agenda items today is talking about engineering the expansion of Hereford Farm Road. Going to widen that road, and we're going to get more traffic, and more people are going to try to use that to cut through to Washington Road. So my view is, and I've got a couple other neighbors that agree, we don't want the traffic through our side. I understand Trevor, Mr. Kitchen's concern about traffic going through his neighborhood or his side of the dam. It's a trade-off, and fortunately, all I can do is speak in favor of my position on it.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, we have a motion on the floor.
Well, just as one other point of discussion, I mean, I appreciate Mr. Johnson's remarks there, and if we were to resolve this to one side's satisfaction tonight, who's to say we don't end up here again, another commission in 20 years or 25 or 40 doing the exact same thing again? So, I mean, with the current position being how it is, I just see it coming back around again in the future. So,
We're going to vote on this, and we're going to move on, okay?
so that's my thoughts.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. Now, I will make a commitment to you. If the outfall gets corrected to the engineer's satisfaction, we will address this again with picking back up on maintenance of our portion of the road. Now, I can't say it'll be approved, but I promise you we'll bring it up. Okay, Commissioner Duncan?
are you sure?
Well, I'm not sure, no, but it says so right here.
Well, it's all you, so there's
I'm glad you recognize
no other
the
option.
point.
I know where you live.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve as a second and final reading of ordinance 15-28, amending Chapter 74, subdivisions, Article 2, procedure for plat approval, Section 7436.
Second.
Motion to second. This is just some clarification on plats and their order of approval. Any further discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the second and final reading of ordinance 15-29, amending Chapter 78, taxation, Article 4, occupational tax and licenses.
Second.
This is some more clarification that we discussed in the previous meeting. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request for a conditional use at 3104 Colburn Boulevard to open an indoor fitness center in an M1 district.
Second.
This is pretty self-explanatory. All in favor?
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request to rezone 2030 William Few Parkway, 555 Baker Place Road from RA to R2, subject to the conditions enumerated in the November 5th, 2015 Planning Commission report, with replacing traffic engineering number 2 to read, the developer is required to provide a 5-foot wide sidewalk along Baker Place Road frontage of the subject property. In lieu of building the sidewalk, the developer may submit a letter of credit or certified check amount equal to the cost of the constructing the proposed sidewalk. The amount shall be based on a construction cost estimate prepared by the developer's engineer of record.
Second.
Any discussion of this item?
You need any explanation? Okay. I didn't know if you need any explanation on that. I think.
You can go
it's
ahead.
clear. Well, just real quick, is you have a situation here where the developer did have a piece of property that required sidewalks, and then there was a section that did not, and then we had a requirement that they would put it on a third section, so there'd be a gap, and the sidewalks were actually headed towards I-20, so it was really a sidewalk to know where anybody was going to walk. In lieu of that, the developer has agreed to donate the amount of money that would have cost to do those sidewalks for the county to install sidewalks on the other side, but it would be going towards the school, so it's going to provide a better path for the school children to be able to use that.
Thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request for conditional use at 101 Maple Drive to establish a massage therapy business.
Do we have a second? I will second as a means to discussion. Is there some hesitation on this item this time?
Mr. Chairman, that's my district, and although I have no personal issue with the applicant, this is there have been multiple of these, this particular operation of business within a very, very small period of time in a very, very localized area of my district, and I just think that we're saturated. So I am of a mind not to approve their application.
Okay, the motion did obtain staff approval and was passed by the Planning and Zoning Commission with a 5-0 vote. Any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the acceptance, I make a motion to approve, to accept the request to withdraw the application without prejudice.
Second.
And this is, of course, concerning the daycare
That is correct.
on Dowling Drive.
3991 Dowling Drive.
Any discussion? All in favor? Is there anyone here pertaining to this issue of the daycare? Just mostly opposed? Just as a point of explanation that Commissioner Allen and myself have conveyed to some of you, this can come back at a later date. But if it does, it'll be advertised and the process will start over. So it's not something that could come back without you knowing about it at some point in time. And they also have the option to bring back anything else they want to do, but it has to come through this body. Now, if they come back with something that's professionally zoned, P1 zoning, then it won't come to us because the property is already zoned P1. So that would be taken up Well, I don't guess it'd be taken up anywhere except the plan review to Mr. Strickland. So keep that in mind, that there may be something there, that if it is not professional usage, then there won't be any notice about it. I mean, if it,
They have the right to do that now.
they have the right to do
Right.
that now.
They can do that anytime.
in zoning.
Most likely, yes. Yes, sir. Most likely, professional use tends to have less traffic. Well, that would be up to the
So, actually,
planning department's
Yes.
approval, but it is possible.
Provided the proposed driveway access
Project access improvement group.
requirements.
If they met the requirements that's in the books that they go by, yes. Well, I don't know when it was zoned professional, but apparently it's been a while, right?
My understanding was it was zoned professional when the subdivision was started, but I could be wrong.
I understand.
It was.
So it's been that way the whole time.
Yeah. The only option you would have is to get a coalition together and buy that piece of property.
We have had issues like this prior in other areas, and that has been done. We'd entertain that.
Yeah, very much so.
Will it make you happy?
But,
Yeah.
I'm sure that the office, the staff would you know, want to do everything possible to encourage direct usage of the existing, yes. But again, under the ordinance, the way that it's written and the way that the zoning has existed for many, many years, they do have that option. We can use whatever means we have of suggestion, and I would encourage our staff to do so if that were to ever come up.
Mr. Duncan?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request for variance from sections 90-98, list of lots and structure requirements, and 90-140, landscaping, located at 316 Pierce Ferry Road, to reduce the front building setback to 115 feet and reduce the width of the required landscape strip to 9 feet, with encroachment of one parking space into the strip as shown on the concept plan, and to reduce the width of the landscape islands to 6 feet, subject to the conditions enumerated in the November 5th, 2015 Planning Commission report.
Second.
Any discussion of this item? All in favor?
And we have two issues added, sir, to the agenda.
Go right ahead.
I make a motion to approve as a first reading of ordinance number 15-30, amending Chapter 14, Animals, Article 1 in general, Section 14-14, Livestock, Tying of Animals.
Second.
Mr. Driver, this is done in response to some horse riding going on in Evans Town Center Park,
Correct.
and you have rewritten the ordinance to prohibit that.
Prohibit all farm animals from being walked or ridden in the town center overlay.
I can't believe that occurred, but it did. So
If the media had been on it, we'd have pictures.
you can't depend on them.
Only for road abandonment.
Yeah. All in favor?
I make a motion to approve replacing Columbia County's vision, mission, value, and pledge with the following core values: professionalism, respect, integrity, dedication, and excellence.
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, this goes hand in hand with some other things we're trying to do, and we'll discuss a little later, but
It does, Mr. Chairman. This has been a long-time project that I've been working on from the County Administration Office to really, for some time, and it's behind me now, but for some time, we've had our vision, mission, values, and our pledge of Columbia County. It's what our pledge is to our citizens. What I found is most of our employees are not familiar with that. It's hard to recite. It's hard to remember. So I tried to come up with something that would be more indicative of what we were actually doing on a day-to-day basis. So with taking the logo behind you, or the logo that's up on the screen, we've taken the word pride and we've broken it out into these 5 core values. And we think that it'd be easy for our employees to remember to have pride in their job, and then take pride in their job, and then use these core values to hire by, to live by, unfortunately to fire by when people don't follow these core values. It's just important to me. It is a step towards what we're trying to accomplish.
Further discussion?
No, sir.
All in favor? Mr. Driver, I see no legal matters. You didn't have any dreamed up, did you?
None dreamed up.
Do you have any additional requests to speak? Do you have any commissioner comments? We do need to go to executive session for a few moments. So at this time, we'd accept a motion to adjourn to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? We are briefly adjourned.
I got them. Those I have, the exact they give me.
Call the meeting back to order. Mr. Driver, would you give us an update of our executive session?
We discussed multiple personnel and land acquisition matters, and all of those will be taken in open session.
And with that, we go to our vice chair, Mr. Allen.
Yes, sir. I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 15-1189, authorizing the acquisition of a permanent easement for broadband utilities and in order to acquire the interest in the real property, .072 acres, on tax parcel number 066036, Mary Lou Bussey, Richard Dent, Inez Young Dent, Rosalie Fielding, Henry Dent Jr., Howard L. Dent, Ella A. Dent Frank, and the estate of Joe Louis Dent.
Second.
Not wasting any time, we're just
Good
going
job.
straight through.
I'm not used to seconding motions, I'm sorry.
All in favor? Next.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to approve Resolution 15-1190, authorizing the acquisition of a permanent easement for broadband utilities and in order to acquire the interest for the real property of .008 acres on tax parcel number 066053, estate of Robert Johnson, by condemnation.
Second.
All in favor? You're on a roll, man.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to approve the dedication of 14.302 acres by CSRA Blue Sky LLC and Canterbury Farms LLC to Columbia County Green Space Program for the use of a future phase of the Uchee Creek Greenway.
Second.
Good. All in favor? Next.
And under Management and Financial Services, I make a motion to approve reclassifying Gary Judge's car allowance. Shouldn't that be Gary
Judy's.
Judy?
Be Gary Judy.
Gary Judy's car allowance. I was just reading, folks. To a Category C Project Management Departmental Budget Line Code 3813812-511060.
Second.
All in favor?
Water.
Now, on my third bottle. I make a motion to approve a contract to Preston W. Pardon for the right-of-way specialist at an annual salary of $34,863.40 with a Category A vehicle allowance and a $60 a month cell allowance expiring December 31st, 2016.
Second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to approve Michael Chandler, Senior Kennel Technician, to receive a $40 a month cell phone allowance, and Joshua Mulverhill, Field Supervisor, to receive a $60 a month cell phone allowance and to discontinue the use of county cell phones.
Second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to approve the creation of a new Deputy County Administrator position at a contract 4 with an entry-level salary of $121,692.50, Category D vehicle allowance, and an annual cell phone allowance of $1,440, reclassifying Leanne Reese from Finance Services Division to Internal Services Division, and structuring all divisions and departments according to the 2015 organization chart that is included in the minutes.
Second. Welcome to my world.
No problem.
There'll be organizational charts and further information on this restructuring from Mr. Johnson's office at some point in the future, I assume.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This has, again, been a long time coming. It's a major reorganization for the county. I had an opportunity to speak with the division directors about this. We're excited about what it's going to do. The county continues to grow, and we feel like it's a more efficient way to do business, and we're very pleased with this. So I'll be making some announcements to our employees tomorrow. I've already spoken to Mr. Crawford, but I'm going to give him some additional information because we want the citizens to know what we're doing and who will be reporting to who. But I think it's going to be a good move for the county.
And as you said, this hopefully will result in even a greater efficiency and more interaction between the various county departments.
Absolutely. It's going to be greatly encouraged. I think you'll see a much more efficient operation the way we have this laid out. It's a pretty revolutionary way of doing business, I think. So we'll be the only county that I know of that's doing this way, but again, Columbia County's leading the way. I think this is a good example of that.
I've said many times, we don't follow.
We don't follow.
All in favor? Any other business to come before this meeting of the commission? Anybody here ready to go do something else?
Yes, sir.
Well-
And since Commissioner Morris is not here, and he historically always makes motions to adjourn, I will take his place, make a motion that we adjourn, sir.
And I will second that motion.
And I will ask, all in favor? We are adjourned.